All right. Starting the morning with a little Ensawa Sriracha and then on to Middle Blue, Weird Funk in Small Bars. My name is Lewis. I'm here at the Rope-a-Dope Room just outside the great city of Philadelphia. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us with this. We are counting down the Rope-a-Dope releases of 2020 and we are coming to the end. We have got an amazing show here today. Great music from Analog Players Society, Gordon Campbell featuring Sheila E., and also a track featuring Kamasi Washington, Sean Martin, Les Special, and even more than that. So without further ado, let me put the headphones on and let's get on over across town here to, there he is, Mr. Fabian Brown. How are you, sir?
You came in hot this morning, Lewis. I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. Thanks.
Funny part is I'm super calm today. Everything was programmed in advance. I walked to work today because my car's in the shop.
Okay.
And it's funny, the guy called me, he's like, you know, good news is this is warranted. Bad news is I don't have a battery. It's not going to be ready today. I'm like, bro, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. There's this thing, it's called lockdown.
Yeah, we're in it. We're in it, Lewis. We're in the lockdown.
We are in it, and with great delight watching everybody pile on our poor snowflake in the Oval Office, cutting his contracts, taking him off the air. I want it to be known that we are live on YouTube today with no strikes and no takedowns, and we are inciting joy. And there is nothing against the YouTube or Twitter or Facebook policies. There's no clause against inciting joy, and we're going to do that through music. So we are happily broadcasting from the train station while the White House is not. And that just makes me so happy. Oh, it's good stuff. Mr. Brown, how are you?
Listen, I'm doing great. You ever see that movie Back to the Future 2, where Marty McFly goes back to the present day and Biff is like the ruler of like Hillside or whatever it is?
Right, yeah.
That has been the last 4 years of my life. It's like a freaking movie that I don't really believe that it's actually happening, but it actually did happen.
There's a meme out there. There's a meme out there that with the doc talking to Marty, and he's like, "Whatever you do, don't set this sucker for 2020."
That's good. We can bring pop culture into I don't even know what this is, but no, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that things are progressive and moving forward, and the light at the end of the tunnel, as they say, is getting brighter and brighter and brighter.
Beautiful.
And speaking of brighter, we came in with some Brad Farberman with the album Middle Blue. Excuse me, the album Weird Funk in Small Bars from Middle Blue. Brad Farberman heading that up, and that was a live recorded album right before the shit show pandemic happened, right? So they got it in just in time. It was released on November 6th, and it's not the first pass that Middle Blue has came to our way. In fact, were they the first or the second band to come to Rope-a-Dope HQ and perform live? I'm trying to remember.
I think we had Greg Hester first.
Okay.
And then possibly Logan Richardson second, but it might have been Middle Blue with Mike Clark. And I was just looking at the video of that the other day. We're gonna run some of that in our film festival on February 4th and 5th. And you can see the great Mike Clark. He's just so zen, man. He just holds it down.
I mean, there's a recording out there somewhere of Mike playing drums. Obviously everyone knows Mike Clark. Herbie Hancock, Headhunters. There's a video floating around out there with Mike playing drums, and me playing keyboards. It's absolutely awesome.
Is that out?
No, it's. I think as I recorded a video.
We'll run that. We're gonna run that. We're gonna run that on the on the film festival. It was see Fabian Brown's debut. Yeah, man, that was pretty awesome. That was during soundcheck, right?
That was during soundcheck.
You were like a kid in a candy store, man.
Oh my gosh, you can even get to sit down and talk with Mike and hear, you know, the legacy and the stories, and oh my gosh, the stories upon stories, and you know that man's a walking legend. So we had Mike Clark on drums on that. We had clarinetist Ben Goldberg, saxophonist Claire Daly. We had keyboardist Jamie Saft, and of course Mike Clark and Ben and Brad Farberman on guitar. And you know, again, these cats like to do. They're just getting on stage, man. They're just jamming. They're having a good time. They kind of have a roadmap. They kind of don't have a roadmap, and it's like a space jazz odyssey every time you hear these cats get together. So shout out to Brad and the crew over at Middle Blue.
Middle Blue, absolutely. Well, I do want to say our intro music today was from the Ensala Saraca album, Another Town, and that is available on CD and vinyl here at downloads.ropeadope.com or in the Ropeadope store, ropeadope.com/store. Wonderful album, and like so many here, quote, underrated, or you know, the kind of things that maybe didn't make the biggest splash because of the headlines of the year, but are, you know, golden nuggets to go back to and enjoy. So check that one out. So we got to get busy here. We've got a couple of several of the highlights of our year, I think, here. It just so happened that these two records came out maybe a week apart, and Gordon Campbell had been working on this record for quite some time. I think we started this early 2019, I think, talking about this record, and you know, Gordon did it the right way. He was making it happen in between other work and family and everything he was doing, and he, you know, from his years with George Duke and others, and also his time spent producing, which a lot of people are not familiar. They don't really know Gordon as a producer or as a solo artist, but you know, this record shows off both of those things. He brought several of his friends into the mix, from Kamasi Washington to Terrace Martin to the great Sheila E. The record, we're gonna let Gordon say in his own words what this record's all about. Conversations is the title, and here we go. Let's let it roll.
Why did I call it Conversations? Well, I've had a lot of experience playing drums on many stages around the world with many different artists. But it's the conversations that really help shape the way I think about music. For real, it's conversations that help shape the way I think about life. There's nothing like being in deep conversation with one of my mentors, or having a non-verbal conversation with another musician on stage. When you really think about it, it's the music that created the dialogue that brings us together. That music brings us together. And that's what we need right now. We need to come together. Conversations.
Wow. The great Sheila Escovedo, Sheila E. from Oakland, California. I'm sure you know her story, but I just went to her website and learned even more. And I found, early on, talent right from the beginning, owned the stage before Prince came to a show and, quote, discovered her. But that really helped her launch her singing career, and everything followed from there. But I wanna point out, go to the website. This is SheilaE.com, the About section, and scroll about halfway down. Elevate Oakland, music and arts for our schools. You can find some of the work that she is doing to enhance and enrich her community. Really amazing. I want to say the first thing that I noticed when this record was finished was how finished it really was. And you don't really get a record and think, wow, this is unfinished. At least I don't, because I don't have those producer chops or the music chops. But I'm usually going with the feeling of a record and not thinking fully about the the production and finishing it. And it's interesting because I had a conversation in my show that I co-host with Dick Elbour on the record. We do with Shure Microphones. I cannot remember which guest it was, but he mentioned that a lot of times you can listen to a song and say, I don't like that song. I don't care for that song. But he did that trick with some people, and then he took the song and kind of remixed it and remastered it and produced it the way he would do it, and he played it again, and the person's like, wow, this is great. So his point was that a lot of times it is the production that makes or breaks a song and therefore an album. And I was reminded instantly of Sean Martin's 7 Summers when I put this album on. Not because, some of the music is similar, but not so similar. It's really about the whole thing being a package, a fully finished, presented album.
When I'm listening to Gordon's album, the first thing that comes to mind is all of his influences are coming full front to not just the production, but also to the playing. And I'm looking at the lineup, Lewis. It is ridiculous. Obviously on that track, Song in 6, we had Sheila on percussion, we had Sarah Reich on tap. So at the point towards the end, you hear like a little, I would call it a percussion battle, between Gordon on drums, Sheila on timbales, and then Sarah on doing the tap dance thing, man. And just amazing, B. Slade, PJ Morton, Peter Collins, TJ Wilkins, who else is on this? Terrace Martin, Alex Isley, Eric Dawkins, Angie Fisher, Kamasi Washington. It is a phenomenal lineup, and every track sits on its own, but the overarch of the whole album is just so tasty. And like you said earlier, Gordon's kind of known for playing with Earth, Wind and Fire and and all these other cats, right? But as we all get older, we kind of slow things down. He settled in LA, got his production chops full force, doing some teaching things. And people were asking him, when's the album coming? When's the album coming? When's the album coming? You mentioned Sean Martin. That was another big influence on helping Gordon get the push and getting things happening and cooking. So, the community and the connection of artists that we have on this roster is just nothing short than freaking.
What I love about it is,
man, go check that album out. The link is in the chat on Facebook and on YouTube, and support what Gordon has going on.
Yeah, when you have that many talented musicians with their own particular style, you would think that the record would be disjointed and songs would not sound like the other song, especially because they're not all in the studio on the same day. This was put together over time, right? But it really does sound cohesive all the way through. And I mentioned that it reminded me of Sean Martin. Sean came out with his 3rd record this year, aptly titled 3-0. I think it was 3-0 because it's a trio. And the great Black Dynamite Mike Mitchell on the kit, and Matt Ramsey.
on the bass.
Here we go. Sean Martin from 3-0.
Yeah, what were you saying?
No, I'm saying, I mean, it's definitely people are looking for that, you know? It's like you can feel it, like when we play live in places, you can feel like people like, it's like unfamiliar to them, but it's also familiar because it's like they've been looking for that feeling, like that freedom, but with soul. You know, it's like that.
Freedom with soul.
Like people always try to separate those two things.
Right.
But it's like, nah, it's like soul. Free music is the most soulful. Like when I listen to like people like Pharoah Sanders and them, like they sound like they playing the blues to me. Like they playing with so much soul.
It's coming from that heart.
Like if you just tilt it over a little bit more towards the soul, then it really captures people.
Right.
In a different kind of way. You know?
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm amazed because y'all really did it, and that's what inspired me. Like, all right, you know what? I guess I can do this because my music is from the heart. It's no formula, and that's why all my songs are different. It's like whatever I felt that day just came out.
The great Kamasi Washington. Oh, Gordon Campbell and friends. Let's run that track down. Who's on there?
I mean, jeez, Lewis. On the track with Gordon Campbell. Oh, let me go back up. I got my Sean Martin notes up here. You know, as we were talking earlier, Gordon has a litter of amazing artists. Obviously, on that last track, we were listening to the feature of the great Kamasi Washington on tenor saxophone. And
He's so chill. Remember meeting him in LA? He's just so calm.
I remember meeting Gordon in LA too. I forget what show we were going to.
We were going to something at the Blue Whale, which, you know, rest in peace. The Blue Whale's closed now. But we had dinner with Gordon and Greg and
Bobby Lewis was there.
Yeah. And Kamasi
Oh, we were going to see Mark DeClivelo at the Blue Whale. That's what we were doing.
Captain Supernova was there.
We had a very, very chill time.
Oh, it was so nice. I'll miss the Blue Whale desperately.
So we just heard from the track Homeland, which was featuring Kamasi Washington and Eddie Brown. We had Eddie Brown on piano and keys. We had William Taylor on bass, Eric Walls on guitar, Jarius Mose on guitar, Roland Garcia on percussion, Seatown horns, Mark Nolik, Andre Calero, and Raul, I'm going to butcher this last one, Agunaga on saxophone, Angie Fisher on background vocals, Eric Dawkins, the list goes on and on. Again, phenomenal album, and it's just littered with the who's who on the LA scene. So go check out Gordon's album.
It's got the vibe. It's got the vibe. I could listen to that all day long. All day long. Well, we're going to keep this moving. I want to remind people to go to downloads.ropeadope.com and support independent artists. There are also imprints at the top of our page with their own sets of artists and releases that are all part of the Rope-a-Dope community, family, and network. And I also want to remind people that on February 4th and 5th, we will be hitting the next Bandcamp day with the Rope-a-Dope Film Festival. We're going to run some new videos. We're going to have a Rope-a-Dope artist hang. We're going to chat with people. It's a chance for you to chime in and see musicians in their natural habitat chatting with each other. And it's all about Bandcamp Day on Friday, February 5th, where Bandcamp waives their fees. We are going to have some special things. I was just looking through some test pressings. I've got some Axiom, some Alexia Bumtempo, Jonathan Scales Orchestra test pressings. We're going to have some special announcements for new vinyl coming out. Maurice Brown, Javier Santiago, and more TBA. Very big surprises on the way. So please join us for that. Put it on your calendar. Let's jump over to the East Coast. We talked about Analog Player Society yesterday, but this is from their second record out in 2020. Love that this music has graced our halls. And here we go, the Analog Players Society.
If you look at thousands of these experiences, they dissolve boundaries. They dissolve boundaries between you and your past, you and the part of your unconscious you don't want to look at.
I've been living in. I need to find a way that I can feel again and see from my deepest within. A thick gray fog that I've been pushing through. I need to extricate all of this residue now. I'm reaching out. Someone tell me where the door to this room is. I've been here too long and all the things I've missed. When your eyes are closed, you don't live like you could. This awaits you if you stray into the woods. Feel it snaking through, in between the roots. They tangle round and round, till they pull this whole mountain from the ground. Shake off the rust. Welcome home, my friend. How we've missed you so. Please don't leave again. Stay where the boundaries around things fade. Someone tell me where the door to this room is. I've been here too long and all the things I've missed. When your eyes are closed, you don't live like you could. Bliss awaits you if you stray into the woods. I wake up alone. I've reassumed my form. I thought I'd cast aside the thick black shell I wore. No, don't make me go back inside. Someone tell me where the door to this room is. I've been here too long and all the things I've missed. When your eyes are closed, you don't live like you could. Bliss awaits you if you stray into the woods.
All the boundaries that we put up to keep ourselves from feeling our circumstance are dissolved. And boundary dissolution is the most threatening activity that can go on in a society.
Less special surprise album in 2020. I remember that we were so overwhelmed and crushed with releases. You were feeling the bulk of that during the time handling, in your role as publicity director here at RopeaDope. I'm always a good 6 to 9 months ahead in my my day to day, but I think we kind of broke it down for these guys, and they were really persistent about, look, we really want to be with Rope It Up, we want to be part of this community, and we're pretty proactive management and social media and the fan base. And boy, I got to tell you, not only did the music thrill me when we got the final record, but boy, the fans came in strong. They have such a dedicated following. Not like, it's not unlike seeing what was happening with Snarky Puppy, not musically, but as far as fan support and momentum, which is something that we don't often see in this game. So it was really pleasant. They have vinyl out. I think it might be gone. There might be a few copies left. And selling out a vinyl on for a band that hasn't really fully been in the national spotlight is pretty amazing to me. I love it. I really like where I don't want to keep perpetuating the term jam band, but if you go through Rope It Up history, we started out with DJ Logic and a downtown sort of jazz, turntable, hip hop vibe. We did the Philadelphia Experiment, went on to some other records, but there was a time, with the new music seminars that we did, with the Christian McBride live at Tonic. I would safely say that a good number of the early Rope It Up fans were part of what you would call the jam band scene, and there are people that have always skirted in and out of it. Medeski, Martin, and Wood being a great example. But what was really amazing about that generation, it really is a full generation removed now, that generation of jam banders. I remember going to, we did a show at the Mercury Lounge. That thing went all night. It was a new music seminar. It was insane. The drummer, after one of the songs at about 3 a.m, was just like, I can't do this anymore. And somebody shouted out, I think it was Logic, shouted out, are there any drummers in the crowd? And the guy jumps up, he goes, what's your name? I think it was Matt or something. He's like, I'm Matt, where are you from? Montreal. He goes, Matt from Montreal, everybody. And that dude jumped on the drum kit and went for another hour and a half. I probably had the name wrong. I think I had the city right. But I remember kind of, out in the lobby, just hearing the conversations between musicians. They knew everything about each artist. They knew Charlie Hunter top to bottom. They knew, they were talking about the specific riffs. And so that culture is still alive. And what I'm seeing in 2018, 19, and 2020 and 2021 is this kind of new sort of growth in that. And I think people like Brad Farberman and Middle Blue, Will Hansa and Escaper, Brian Donahoe and Prager, they're taking it in this interesting territory between jazz, funk, and rock. But everything fits into, and electronica a little bit, It just feels like it's kind of growing up, And what's special is that, it's really, it references all the old stuff. That was Boundary Dissolution, which I presume is about a psychedelic experience, or meditation that you can try at home. And so they're referencing some of the same points, the same spaces that have been around since Hendrix and Blue Cheer, back in the day. But they're in this whole like really mature, developed space musically that is really intriguing.
It's funny that you are ripping on this jam band thing, because there's a great interview that we do with Le Special probably about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago now, when they released their album on December 4th, and we talked about that in as much as that same community that you're speaking of, has embraced Le Special as almost a, like the redheaded step cousin kind of vibe. Because when you listen to the album, it's a click away from the jam band vibe. They're a power trio at the pure definition. In fact, they have this vibe around the number 3. This is their third album that they put out. The album title Ancient Homies has several innuendos and references. These guys were childhood kids. They grew up together in Connecticut. So just imagine, man, as a musician, when you get to sit in a pocket with someone musically for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you get a synergy. But then when you grow up together playing music, that's a whole other bag. And if you dig into the liner notes of this one, you're going to find that that number 3 comes up in their compositions as well. Not so much in that last track. That last track was kind of almost a straight up 1 minor 4 minor kind of vibe. But
I went easy for today's program, no doubt about
which
it.
is cool. But when you dig into this album, what you're going to find is some really eclectic compositions and just some out there. It's like really heavy up here. Like musicians are going to dig it, but it's so palatable for someone who has no knowledge about music. They're going to both people are going to really find something very, very special. So I like you said, man, this album was very, very hip, and this track is it's one of my favorites off the album.
I'd love to do a whole show on the evolution of this this musical exploration, from as I see it, connection wise, going all the way back to the '60s and '70s, and it touches in and out with the whole fusion thing as well. I remember seeing Colonel Bruce and John McLaughlin perform together a few years back, with Jimmy Herring. So it was like it's all kind of mingling together. But it's music as a journey, if you will. Music as a journey. It's always feels like a road trip. No matter what it is, whoever's doing it, or that could be an intergalactic road trip. So, man, this has been a blast. I'm going to have withdrawal symptoms when we wrap up in the next couple days, but very exciting. What do we have coming for tomorrow, Mr. Brown? And then I'll talk about Friday.
Well, tomorrow's is the preamble to that Friday that you're speaking of, and stick around, guys, because we have 35 millimeter coming up tomorrow. We have Zang, we have Archie the Goldfish, we have the Heartstrings Project, Spiro and Mitchell and Ellen Andrea Wang coming up on the set. So we got a couple of Tiny Records coming back up. We couldn't do an episode without a Tiny Records single somewhere sneaking in there.
I've sensed that's our destiny. Yeah, from now on, is that there will be a little bit of Spiro in everything we do.
I dig it.
I welcome. I want to talk a little bit about Friday. So, time has been a real challenge getting things done, taking care of the orders that are coming in, and running a label in the midst of a global pandemic, as well as all of the craziness that's happening in our world. But last year we did a festival on Juneteenth, which we will do again, by the way, in 21. And we had a conversation with a lot of Black artists and the rest of, and others from the community. And we talked about the state of equality in the United States today, or then, that day. And then we kind of drifted away from it because we got so busy. So I'm welcoming coming back to that. And Friday will be one of the first pieces that we do around this. So there have been tracks in the Rope-a-Dope catalog, as far back as Antibalas, Payback Africa, the track on Who Is This America, and so many from the last poets, Heroes or Gang Leaders. It goes on and on. But here, some of the things that came out in 2020, people that represent that political, social justice perspective and have made songs about it. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Vivian Sessoms in that, by the way. But Friday, we're looking at Christian Scott Atunde Ajwa, a track from Axiom, Kin for Life, Blacklight Collective, Bright Dog Red, Jillian Margot, some Gordon Campbell, the single from this album that really speaks to this. Angelo Moore of fame. Also, Trulio Disgracias asking an important question. Clifton Anderson and even Yasmin Kidd coming out. And this is all in honor of the upcoming weekend and Monday holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And, you know, I urge you to join us. I urge you to share, tell people about it. Just tune in, learn a little bit, and hear some amazing music from the perspective of musicians who care about these issues and are trying to, you know, push change, move us forward as a species. Sometimes I think about when I'm looking at the politics and I'm looking at the atrocities of last Wednesday, and I think about, you know, marching up a mountain. We as humanity are trying to get, you know, up to a more enlightened place, a better place for everyone. And we can look at the atrocities of last Wednesday and go, man, we're being weighed down. How are we ever going to get to the top? But the thing is, you can't look at the last person in line to determine whether you're going to proceed up the hill. Somebody has to be first, and some other people have to be second and third. So part of the way you get everyone up the hill is just keep going up the hill. You can't focus all of your attention on the guy at the back who's just not even willing to move, right? And that's the point, and that's what music is doing. That's who these people are. That's who these artists are. They are humans who are moving the species forward by focusing on the future and focusing on inciting joy. So comes from the heart. I feel very strongly about this, and I hope that people will join us on Friday, learn a little bit, and I welcome anyone's comments and input on social media through the comments section. So that's it. That's a wrap for today. We've got one more track we're going to go out with. This is Carolyn Samuelson.
Carolyn Samuelson. This is the track from Tiny Records, another track from Tiny Records. You know, what's her story? She is out west, Washington, I believe, the state of Washington, and she has that R&B, soul, pop vibe. You know, we've played a few tracks from her EP throughout this whole entire 2020 series rundown. So you guys are going to really enjoy another track from Carolyn Samuelson from Tiny Records.
And Mr. Brown, thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow morning.
I'll be here.
All right.
Have you ever fallen madly in love with a place? So much so that you didn't want to leave? You just wanted to stay there forever. Forever and ever. Your feet touch the sand. You pull the return ticket out of your pocket. And you rip it up because you're not going anywhere. I grew up in the rain, dreaming of the faraway, of big cities where no one knows my name. I walk down the street, faces blinded me, no one knew where I should be. Had a map on my bedroom wall, everywhere I would go. Wanna live somewhere tropical, but oh, I love the snow. Been so many places, but I think that I found the one. Fallen in love with the town of the endless sun. The air is sweeter here where the sea meets the sky. Wild hearts can run, and dreams can fly. Your soul starts to sing here, everything makes you smile. Not yet do I wanna leave, I will stay a while. Boil me a pot of tea, take off my shoes please, 'cause I be here in the end. Walk down the street, see faces of me. One day I will call them friends. Can't believe I found somewhere as beautiful as here. Hold me close forever, won't you stay with me, my dear? Been so many places, but I think that I found the one. Falling in love with the sound of the endless sun. The air is sweeter here where the sea meets the sky. Wild hearts can run and dreams can fly. Your soul starts to sing here. Everything makes you smile. Not yet do I wanna leave. I will stay a while. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. This is a dreamland. I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving. Ooh, yeah. I'm never leaving. 'Cause I got no reason. 'Cause I live here now. All through the seasons. Morning, afternoon, and evening. I live here now. And if you want to see me, you better come on over here, 'cause I think you could fall in love the way that I fell in love in this beautiful place. Yeah. I've hung my hat. I've planted some seeds. I gave them some water and some sunlight, and now I've grown some roots way down low. And now this